There are a lot of great ideas out there. There really are. But you also have to have a solid way that you're going to support those ideas. And so all that due diligence up front is very helpful. I think probably the first individual that I started paying a salary to was the person that helped me with development. Because we do have a unique situation. I can write a grant for yoga. I can write a grant for equine assisted psychotherapy. I can write a grant for art therapy. So I have multiple programs under one umbrella that I can source multiple ways of funding them. And that has been very helpful.
Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. Hey friends, I'm back. I hope you are doing well. It has been quite a hectic August for the Mustards. We decided midway through the month that our girls were going to switch schools this year. And so the past couple of weeks, I've just been busy with them, getting them tested, getting them set up, getting them enrolled. And so the podcast had to take a little bit of a backseat, but I know you guys understand. And I'm sure you've been in a time in your life where you've had to put something on the back burner because your family was the number one focus and number one priority. But they started school today. I'm so excited for them. They were excited and a little bit nervous. One thing I'm really excited about is that they wear uniforms. So that's going to probably have my oldest moving a little bit faster in the morning, if you know what I mean. She don't have to figure out what she's going to wear every morning. But we're just so excited for them. And I hope everybody out there has a healthy and safe school year. All right, so I'm back. I have a bunch of episodes that I've been wanting and can't wait to share with y'all. But today we're going to jump back into the rotation of therapy shows. Share Therapy Show podcast with Sutton Shaw. So this is called Start a Nonprofit with Sutton Shaw. And Sutton Shaw shares how the Big Red Barn came to be, plus how to get started with creating a nonprofit. Let me tell you a little bit about the Big Red Barn. She's going to do the same. But the Big Red Barn retreat offers therapeutic services to veterans and active duty who are suffering from combat or military-related stress issues. They offer the transformative Warrior PATHH program that trains warriors how to live a life worth living. The Big Red Barn Retreat has a combination of day services that are free to vets, active duty, and military spouses, as well as host day retreats for active duty, including Fort Jackson, which is right here in Columbia, South Carolina, and our amazing South Carolina National Guard. In addition, they offer the Warrior PATHH program, which is an 18-month program that is going to cultivate and facilitate post-traumatic growth. You can learn more about the Big Red Barn at the website, which is thebigredbarnretreat.org. You can follow them on Facebook, and we hope you really enjoy this episode. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Therapy Show. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and this week we have a really unique and special guest. Her name is Sutton Shaw, and I am going to let Sutton tell you guys who she is and what she does. So welcome to the show, Sutton. It's awesome to have you.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much. This will be my first podcast talking to therapists.
Oh, cool. Very well. Awesome. I'm excited for that. So would you mind sharing with our listeners a little bit about like who you are and what you do and the Big Red Barn and all that came to be?
So I'm the executive director. I'm the marketing person. So I wear many hats. The Big Red Barn Retreat was started the idea actually the genesis of it started in 2014. We got a nonprofit in 2015. But as a civilian, we just lost my dad. He was a Navy veteran and then got into the restaurant business. And so me helping my mother through that process of grief, they were married 50 years, I actually spent a lot of time with her on horseback. And I saw the benefit of that. This, not only being out in nature, we rode through every forest you can imagine, DuPont, you name it. But also this relationship with this horse that she established was a very interesting relationship that I got to watch a lot of things that she was struggling with manifest in the relationship with the horse. And so a little digging, and I learned that there's this methodology called EGALA, where they do use horses to help people, and it isn't riding them; it is all on the ground. And so that started this idea of what are other modalities out there that are not necessarily traditional or non-clinical that we might be able to create a spot where you could get those. And ideally you get them for free.
Mhm.
And so that was the genesis of the idea. So we started the Red Barn in 2014, got a nonprofit in 2015. And our first program or first service we offered was equine assisted psychotherapy. And then we started branching into other areas that piqued our interest. That there's secondary research out there to support how they help. And that would be yoga, Tai Chi, art, music, all of these things that are alternatives that you can't readily find somewhere else. And so we just became like a haven of where we could offer all these services under one umbrella. And then, of course, peer-to-peer mentoring, which was huge because that's almost like the gateway into the Red Barn. Is if you've got someone interested or you think would be interested in these programs, send them to the Friday 5:30 coffee group, because they're going to find their tribe, their new tribe. And all of these, many of the people in there have tried some of these services, so can speak personally. So that's kind of how it all started. And, we went from, in 2014, we were about 2015, about $176,000 in, income revenue to we're over $1 million now. So, and we got a long ways to go, trust me, but it has been received pretty well. And I think that we're making a difference. So that's what I care about the most.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting and cool story. So you went from really just like an interest in helping your mom and learning about the different ways to help somebody with grief into a nonprofit. And here you are, offering all these different programs. So you primarily offer programs to veterans. Is that right? Or military or service members?
Well, veterans and their immediate family. So like for the yoga and Tai Chi, if you want to bring your spouse, we encourage that. Because this is a practice. And if you have your spouse doing the practice with you, you're more likely to continue it. First responders. So and that's been a tough road because it's not readily accepted necessarily in that community to open up to the level that veterans tend to do a better job at. Open that up. And, our newest program that launched last year, we had our 3 training classes officially launched January, Warrior PATHH. Every class we put through has had a first responder, from an EMT to police officers to firemen. The need for first responders probably has been the most surprising to me how significant it is. So we've started Warrior PATHH, and we just finished our 10th class, and we will start back up in September and have classes through the end of the year.
It's amazing. Amazing. I mean, I remember, gosh, I think when I first started working with the Guard, I remember coming out to the barn and being shown around, and it was just blown away. It's like such a gorgeous piece of property, such amazing space. And coming onto the property, you just feel like at peace because, it's gorgeous and it's in nature and it's not clinical. You don't feel like you're not walking into like an office or a medical facility. It's just a gorgeous, beautiful barn where you have all these just options. So I hope you guys will definitely go and check out the website. We'll put all of this in the show notes. So I talk to a lot of therapists who have an idea about wanting to start their own nonprofit. And I know that is it a different path for everybody? What are the basic steps for like getting started? If you have an idea and you want us to get it going, what would you recommend?
Okay. So I put on a couple hats. So one of the hats I'm going to put on is, so my background is I have a master's in marketing. So that's actually my background. I worked for Coca-Cola, helped introduce a couple brands, Surge, Dasani. So the first question I ever look at when you're thinking about opening a nonprofit is making sure you understand the need. And is there somebody else already out there fulfilling that need? And that was a big part for us. So here in this area in the Midlands, there was no one doing the types of programming we were doing. And that's important. So you have to really not only do an assessment. Number one, what is the need? And is the need not being met? And how can you best meet that need? So there's a little bit of due diligence necessary to understand that piece of it. Lots of folks, I'm sure you can quote the numbers, lots of folks start a nonprofit and they fail in the first few years. So you've got to have a solid business proposal of what it is you want to offer. And then the second piece of that, and what was for me, is I actually went around and met with other nonprofits that were doing similar things in other areas. So the equine assisted psychotherapy, what was the big aha moment for me is when I would go to these places, they were spending most of their time raising money to feed the horses.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so you're doing all this work and raising money to feed the horses. So the model that I use most of the horses out there at the Red Barn are boarded, right? And that creates income for us. So I created a new idea, but only 2 of the horses actually belong to the Red Barn. And in some cases, the equine specialist actually brings her horses in. We are graduating to having a team on property, but it's important that you make sure that you talk to other people that have gone before you to learn from their mistakes. So I would encourage that. That would be the next step. Mm-hmm. Once you've kind of got that all thought out, and think about, how am I going to generate income for this? Is it going to be through individual donations? Do I have a big donor that's going to support me? Is it going to be through grants? What are the grants out there for me? So part of your assessment has to be, where is going to be my funding, and where am I going to access those dollars? And that's an important piece of it, because there are a lot of great ideas out there. There really are. But you also have to have a solid way that you're going to support those ideas. And so all that due diligence up front is very helpful. I think probably the first individual that I started paying a salary to was the person that helped me with development, because we do have a unique situation. I can write a grant for yoga. I can write a grant for equine assisted psychotherapy. I can write a grant for art therapy. So I have multiple programs under one umbrella that I can source multiple ways of funding them. And that has been very helpful. So again, a lot of great ideas out there, but do the due diligence to really understand, is the support going to be out there? Because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where, you're every day out there begging for dollars.
Right.
And that can be the challenge if you don't have a really well thought out plan, that you've talked to people and gotten people on board well before you launch the plan.
Right. Wow. That's some great tips. I'm so glad you went over that. That's really neat. That's interesting. You have your background in marketing. So that was really helpful, because a lot of us therapists, we have a master's degree, and they don't, we don't get the business stuff. We don't get the marketing stuff. We just get the therapy stuff. And so we have to learn a lot of this out there on our own. So that was really helpful. I know that there are programs out there that can help people kind of like walk them through. Did you need that, or were you guys kind of like self-sufficient because you knew what to do and you knew how to go after it?
Well, fortunately, my dad was an entrepreneur. So that helped a lot. I know how to, the basics of a business, writing a business plan, why a balance sheet versus an income statement, all those things. So that actually helped me. I know there are available services out there to help them, but really understanding how you create a brand and differentiate it versus what else is out there is a critical piece of it. And so how do you write a mission statement? What are the cornerstones or pillars of what you are? Knowing what those are, defining those so there's not any ambiguity of what you are, and then sticking true to those. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten phone calls of people wanting to do stuff out here in the name of it's free for military. I am the keeper of what's true to the brand. And in doing that, I'm true to the people I'm serving. Sure. So I am not going to allow people to come in and in the name of, I'm just sharing with them, it's free. They're really just trying to get in front of people to sell them something. So you have to really be comfortable in your own skin and know what you are. And it's very tempting to get lured by, people wanting in a positive way, say, I'm just trying to help you. You got to stay true to who you are and what the brand is about, and not try to be something you're not. And so anyone that's done any brand marketing, right, you've got to know a brand has things it stands for, just like a person does. And so you've got to hold true to those, and you've got to know what those are, and spend a little bit of time thinking as a brand, as a person. And I think for therapists, that would help, right? Think of this brand as a person. Would this brand do that? If this person was named Joe, right? Would this brand do that? And so staying true to who you are as a brand is very important, because again, you can get in a situation where, if not holding true to what you are, you become kind of skewed in terms of maybe people come in and present stuff to your customers or to your clients that you're serving, and now you've lost that trust. So it's important that whatever you do, really spend the time to understand, would I do this? Would I not do that? What am I as a brand? I get approached by a lot of folks that want to do stuff for veterans, right? And I kind of have to be very careful, because I'm not going to let people come on and use the facility to further themselves if it doesn't help the veterans. And so that's a big piece for me, is holding true to that. I probably get 3 or 4 emails, probably a month, of someone saying, hey, how about this? Or we want to come talk to people about this. And really it's a guise for, I'm trying to sell something. Can you share this with your veterans? No, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm a safe haven. And that's one of the elements I preach up and down, right? A safe and trusted environment. If I break that, I've lost them. And so I hold true to that. So I don't give people, quote unquote, access to my veterans. I'm very careful to make sure that I hold true to everything that I say I do. So I think that that's an important piece of it, because you can oftentimes, it sounds good in principle, but really go back to what you're about and hold true to that. So I would encourage people that that's a big piece of it, and it's important when starting a nonprofit, because you might be persuaded to do stuff in the name of, I need the money or something like that, or I want this partnership. And you really got to put the needs of your customers first. And I call them customers, but really they're clients. You guys call them clients. What are their needs? And I got to stay true to them and not break there's a commitment I've made to them when they come on that property, that I'm a safe environment. So I don't report to the VA. I don't report to anybody. The services they're providing, unless of course they want those shared, that's their business. And so you have to be very careful to make sure that in the name of maybe getting extra grant dollars or whatever,
right,
that you don't sacrifice that for what you truly are.
Right. That's so wise, so important. I totally get what you're saying and
Right.
understand completely. Have you faced obstacles or challenges, along the way? I'm sure you have, but like,
oh my God. Okay. So let's think about this. I am a female with no military background, other than my dad was in the Navy, no background in therapy, mental health. I did brand marketing. Just a few. But the thing is I've always been open to reading and learning, because all this stuff makes sense. It really does. And then finding the right people has been probably the best part. And you're going to get a chance to speak to some of the people, but I haven't studied mental health. I can read it. I can, it all makes sense in black and white when I read it, but there's a big difference between that. And I've watched, my mental health professional, Stephanie, the questions she's asked, I'm like, "Ooh, where did you come up with that great question?" That's an awesome question. Is that what you learn in therapy school? Because that's a great question. And I often would have these conversations. Why don't you just give them the answer?
Yeah.
So that's key also, is that my obstacles were that I have absolutely no training in this. I don't, but I've listened. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing, is listen and a lot of reading to understand it and been open to it. And then I give up and own what I can do, which is I enjoy the management of it. I enjoy raising the money. I enjoy setting goals and achieving them and growing this brand. Right. But and watching what it does. But I recognize I'm not the person that's delivering the services. It's the team of people I have. And without them, this would just be a barn. And I say that all the time, but I truly mean it, because they're the ones that do the hard work, sit across from the individuals, have those calls or have those conversations, those really heartfelt moments that they deliver those. I don't. So, my big challenge is just going out and convincing individuals, organizations and businesses within the state of South Carolina, that this is a program they need to support. And that's another challenge. We say we're a nation, or not nation, a state that supports veterans and all that. But, there's a lot of nonprofits that are out there, fundraising in this state in the name of helping veterans. And that's another challenge, is I go in there, how do they know me from any other nonprofit? And so that's always been a challenge too, is how do you get organizations to support you? Well, to me, the key is that we have evidence. We have evidence that this program works. We're not a fire and forget program, a weekend away hunting or having fun. While we all know for a moment that might help us, long term, this is a program that actually gives them practices and training so they actually can live a life that is worth living, full of authentic relationships. And so I think that having evidence that proves this works would be the biggest thing. If you can get the research, and ours is primary, but there's also secondary research that supports the services, that's going to give you that edge when you're out there talking to people. Most importantly, during grants, right? You've got to have some type of evidence that this is going to work. Not, hey, this sounds good. Doesn't this sound like fun? We're going to go hunting for a weekend. That will make them feel better. Well, yeah, I guess you could do a pre on Friday and a post on Monday morning. right?
Right. Yeah. I had fun. It worked.
It worked. Oh my God.
I loved
Okay.
it. I got my deer. I got a deer. Yay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I hear you. Mm-hmm. Hey friend, want to be more comfortable while sitting on the therapy couch? I sure did, and went looking for pants and tops that were soft, wrinkle resistant, and would match just about anything I already had in my closet. And now Zaya Active makes up about 80% of my wardrobe. Would you like to learn more? Head over to my site, lisamustard.com, and click on the Activewear tab. And don't think this is just for women. They have men's and kids' clothes too, and our family is loving the quality, and I am loving the price tags. So head over to my site to check it all out.
Yeah, I mean, there's an 18-month study done on Warrior PATHH. And I mean, if you have the time to read 129 pages with charts and graphs, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It is powerful. The impact of this program, if they put in the hard work, and that's key, you got to put in the hard work. It's not an overnight thing. And, because in some cases you're working with years back to childhood of, some traumas that they've dealt with and that have affected the way they look at the world. And that can't be changed overnight.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Warrior PATHH program is phenomenal. I have heard Stephanie talk about it. I've heard Christian talk about it. I attended a program last year at the Stormwater Gallery, and I got to see your peers, I guess, come up and talk about it, as well as folks who they've also been through the program. So I could just, just watching them and hearing their stories. I mean, it definitely has changed their lives. And that's what this is all about. It's just helping people, veterans, first responders, soldiers,
active duty.
everybody.
Active duty can go through it. Yeah. So for the National Guard, I mean, we've had several National Guardsmen come in. In fact, one of them, Carter Libran, actually, this is what I love. So, for him, he communicates through his music, right? That's one of his wellness practices, is that when he's struggling, to put that out into music, and people connect with that. That's why songs work, right? Because you hear a song and you go, oh my God, that person captured exactly how I feel. And so he took his Warrior PATHH experience and actually created a video, and it, if you get a chance to watch it, it's on YouTube under Carter Libran, but it is just, it will make you just feel wonderful, because he really tells his story of why he came to Warrior PATHH. He met me, in 2020, he met me last year. He was the opening act for our summer jam. And it was a funny moment, because I later would follow him on Facebook, and all of a sudden I see he's struggling with anxiety and that he went to the VA, and I'm messaged Willie Carter, not going to come try some of this. And so we did. And I ended up going through Warrior PATHH. And so that's just what I like. It's the people that have gone through Warrior end up being our biggest fans, because they know, they can speak from experience how much it's helped them. So, and it's the first thing they want to do. They want to help others find the same way. So I love that. So he actually did a video, but he's actually in the National Guard now. We've had a drill sergeant go through. So active duty can actually go through it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fabulous program. I mean, I know the requirements are on the website, so we'll put a link in the show notes to the Warrior PATHH, how folks can find out more about it. And I know you also host women only Warrior PATHH too. So that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the research, so they found, right. And therapists probably they know this, they're all shaking their head. Men are not gonna disclose to the level that they would if women are in there. And so to really allow an environment where men will feel comfortable disclosing some of their deepest, darkest held secrets, it's got to be either men only or women only.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the guides can't be men and women. And it's actually a benefit, because like in some cases in the women classes, right, if you have women who maybe struggle with military sexual trauma, and then they go through the program and they meet people like Chris, right? 32-year veteran, command sergeant major, right? You would think big alpha male. I mean, but the most sincere, look you in the eye, heartfelt guy you'll ever meet. You would realize, wow, these people do exist out there. And so my experience, while negative, you would learn something about that there is men that you can connect to at that level.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, you give these female veterans a new experience of being able to connect with a male. I think it's such an inspiring and unique way to help folks heal from trauma. So I just think it's fabulous. And I want everybody to know about it and I want everybody to learn about it, and we'll put it all. And so you have a summer jam coming up. Is that right? That's exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a fall jam.
Fall jam. Okay.
Yeah, because we've learned something every summer in the afternoon. What rolls through?
Oh, a thunderstorm here.
Yeah. So I'm tired of having, that last minute.
Yeah.
Are we going to be? So it's fall. It's fall jam at the ballpark. It's October 9th. It's going to be right there at Segra Park, which is home of the Columbia Fireflies. And we're super excited. Craig Morgan not only has written some phenomenal songs, but he himself, many of you may or may not know this, but, he lost his 18-year-old son recently, a couple of years ago, in a tubing accident.
Oh, gosh.
And so he wrote a song called Father, Son, and My Son and the Holy Ghost. And if you haven't seen it, watch him sing it. But he used music to really express and his grief.
Yeah.
And of course, he was a veteran. So he's a phenomenal showman too. So we're going to have him. I'm working on the opening act, which I think will be a female group, because we got to do a little nod to our female veterans, our invisible people, right? But I have learned that they are powerhouses anyway. And so, it'll be there. Tickets are on sale now. You can go to our website, thebigredbarnretreat.org, and then /fall/jam, or you can go to the Firefly website. And then tickets are $15 for military in advance. You got to show your ID at the door. And then it's going to be a great night, a beautiful venue. And there's no home USC game. So everyone should be safe.
And for those who are not in South Carolina, she means University of South Carolina.
Yep.
Football game, I'm guessing, is what you mean.
Yes, absolutely.
Lord knows, around these parts, it just goes crazy. And you have to plan your fall and your winter weekends based on the Carolina football season.
You do. It is what it is. But I do I love the South. I love the spirit behind the, football and all that. So this is a great place to live. I love the generosity of the people here, the kindness.
Well, we are super grateful that you and your family have created the Big Red Barn. Can you share maybe what's on the horizon? What's next? What are you looking at for the future?
Oh my gosh. So so people always say, if you got a couple $1 million, what would you do? Okay. So obviously I'm pretty excited. In the fall, we're going to have some music therapy. So one of the things they do in Warrior PATHH is we actually bring songwriters down from Nashville. And one of the modules is that you disclose your story, and in 2.5 hours, they turn it into a song. And then that is uploaded to your MyPath app. So whenever you need to go back to that moment, well, we think that music for a lot of veterans is a wonderful way to help them disclose what's going on in their life and get it out of them. And so we're super excited. We're going to have our first music therapy group. And we always like to partner and have a veteran as a co-facilitator. So that's all set and good to go. We're actually in the process of reaching out to folks. We like to secure those individuals because you got to make a commitment to come for 8 weeks. So if anyone's got someone in South Carolina that they think would be great for the program, they can message us directly. We kind of reach out to the Vet Center and to Dorn VA, their therapists. They have a good handle on someone that might be good for this program. So we work hand in hand with them and rely on them to give us people that would use our services. So that's coming up. We are finishing up our equine assisted group therapy for females right now. And then we do have one, we're in the works to do a group therapy session for National Guardsmen. So we're super excited about that. And then we're also in the process of developing what I would call some mini kind of retreat days that give you a little glimpse into how learn about Warrior PATHH. So that's also on the horizon that we will be working to give. So for example, we did a First Sergeant's Day for 19 First Sergeants from Shaw Air Force Base. What that allowed them to do is really understand the program. Everyone knows in the Air Force for First Sergeants, they're guys and women and can say, hey, this program, you should consider this. Want to do more of that, getting this program out in front of active duty, that they can kind of start to understand and take these concepts and principles and integrate them in now in their life as they deal with struggle. And so that's a big part of what we're doing, really getting the word out of what we do. And again, fundraising and things like that. But that's the big thing, is continuing to expand the Warrior PATHH program and the principles on which it is built, which is all under Dr. Richard Tedeschi's work around post-traumatic growth.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So excited for you guys and what's to come. So thank you so much, Sutton, for being here. I'm just like, so many cool things going on. I'm going to reach out to Stephanie and Chris and see if they would be open to coming on to my show. I know we're hoping to get them on the National Guard podcast in the future. So I want to bring them in. They can talk more clinical stuff about what they're doing and just, spread the word about you guys and this program. And thank you so much. Is there anything else you want our audience to know?
Well, I just encourage them to visit our website. All the information is on there. If they have questions, message them. So all the messages come directly to me and I reply pretty quickly. If you've got someone that you think might be good for any of our programs, let us know.
Oh, cool.
You'd be surprised how many times just a random, I don't know if it's a desperate email at 12:30 at night has come through to the info at the Big Red Barn Retreat, and I pick them up and I forward it. And next thing you know, that person, all of a sudden I'll show up for volunteering at the Red Barn for our Warrior PATHH, and literally there's that person. That has happened more often than not, that a random phone call to us has turned into us helping someone. So don't think that we're not a nonprofit, that it just kind of goes into the abyss. We answer the calls. We try to connect the people with this. And so anyone, if you're listening, I think my individual would be good. I've got someone, reach out to us, reach out to Stephanie, reach out to Chris. They're great at getting back to people, and we are all ears and we're ready and here to serve you guys.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, what you're saying is if there's one of a therapist out there who might live in Florida is listening to this episode and has a client or patient that they're working with that they say, this might really be an awesome thing.
For Warrior PATHH. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
we fly them in. So we typically fly in at least one client per class. I've had them from Virginia. I've had them from Houston. So it doesn't, because actually Warrior PATHH exists in 8 other locations. Mm-hmm. So if you're listening to this and you say, okay, I'm interested, if one of our dates don't work, certainly I can put you in the bigger system that will pair you with one of the other locations. So don't let it be a deterrent. If you're listening and saying, well, you're in South Carolina, we'll fly them in. That's all covered. Every bit of the cost is covered. It is absolutely free to the veteran or active duty or first responder that goes through it.
And how long is the Warrior PATHH, each one?
It starts with a 7-day initiation and where you live on premise in a beautiful, I don't know if you've seen it, you need to come out and see it. Yeah. Beautiful log cabin that we've built. And then for 18 months afterwards, there is weekly, you could call it homework, but they go online. It might be a video you watch or a passage you read and you reflect back, and it reinforces the information that you learned in the 7-day.
Gotcha.
Because in the 7-day, it's like a fire hose of information.
Yeah.
In addition, you continue to call in and have Zoom calls or connect with the 6 individuals or the 5 individuals that you went through the program with. So you've got about an 18-month follow-up afterwards.
Great. Okay. So they have a cohort that they go through the program with, and
have 5 to 7 of them, depending on how big the class is. Yep. You become the connection after you go through the program, although you will feel very close to these guides because the authenticity in which they share their struggle will blow you away. It just changes the playing field. You immediately will just go there. But where the real connection comes is you have a new tribe. And that's oftentimes what you need, that call in the middle of the night if you're struggling, to someone who's not going to judge you, who can be there and can talk you off that cliff if you're struggling really bad. And so it gives you that, and they recognize that that's necessary. So we always talk about having who's got your back. Well, you create that new tribe after going through the level at which you disclose in a safe and trusted environment in which that happens. You leave there with 5 new brothers or 5 new sisters that you are very connected to.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my gosh. I should have asked that question in the beginning, but I'm so glad that we got it we just got it all in. So, oh my gosh, Sutton, thank you again for being here. This has just been amazing.
Well, thank you. And I'm looking forward to you talking to Stephanie. Chris, you'll see it goes full circle.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine.
Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content.
And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.